in weight, so some of you guys like a lot of weight categories. Some of y'all don't. I love a lot. I love the lighter weight categories, right? And someone has to talk about this, right? So let's get to it. You got Anthony Olascuaga versus Ricardo Sandoval. This is a fight that I've spoken about. This is a fight that I want to see. Now, the main reason I wanted to see this fight was because my vision for this fight was, with Anthony Olascuaga being from the LA area, with Ricardo Sandoval being from the Inland Empire, I thought there was a unique opportunity to do something that doesn't often happen in these weight categories, which is do a big fight, do a unification fight in California, right? Because, I'm sure these guys got not massive fan bases, but at least enough fans to, let's say, pack the Commerce Casino, a smaller venue in LA that does a lot of shows. I thought it would have been great, and it would have helped build their profile in their actual hometowns, right? But of course, that was probably wishful thinking on my end, because it's been reported that Anthony Olascuaga and Ricardo Sandoval is going to be heading to Japan, which is not surprising because in these weight classes, as any and everybody knows that follows these weight classes, the money, the purses, the big purses, the big time streaming platforms, and the best and most lucrative opportunities around these weight classes for everyone, not just Japanese fighters, but everyone are in Japan. American promoters aren't as eager to invest in the flyweight division or the super flyweight division or those smaller weight classes, because the consensus amongst many people in American boxing and boxing fans is that these guys are too damn light. Like, my daughter is 112 pounds. Why would I pay to go watch a 112 pound fight? I want to watch welterweights. I want to watch middleweights. I want to watch heavyweights. So to each their own. But going to screen share. So here it is: Ricardo Sandoval versus Anthony Olascuaga. Unification reportedly eyed for March. So Chava, shout out to Chava on his job. My man Salvador Rodriguez, he's not wasting no time in 2026. Giving you guys good reporting. But he says unification between Ricardo Sandoval and Anthony Olascuaga, which could land in Japan this coming March, which I'm excited about. I think there's not really that many unifications in these weight classes because the sanctioning fees for 3 belts is a lot. So you need to have promoters and TV networks and things like that are willing to pay these guys enough money to pay those sanctioning fees, and also, more importantly, give them enough money to where they're satisfied with what they leave with, because they got to pay their team, they got taxes, they got all these things, right? So if that's the case, then good for them, because one thing about it is this: Sandoval has never been given anything easy in his career. I said it in my video that I made about him, even before he beat Kenshiro. He was he was probably the most underpromoted contender in the entire Golden Boy stable for years, right? So good for him to make some money. And then Anthony Olascuaga, I mean, again, he's fought in Japan a couple of times and made some good money, but I've seen those contracts. Like, he signed to All-Star Boxing, right? He signed a Tutu Sabala, which is like a 360 deal, kind of like if you signed to All-Star Boxing in Japan, then that basically means you're signed to Mr. Honda in the de facto sense. So I've seen those I've read an All-Star Boxing contract before. And like I'm sure he made some good money, but he ain't balling, right? So good for him. If they're gonna pay him good money to go to Japan, then good for him. But I was just optimistic and kind of hoping that they would have been able to do a unification fight in LA. But again, if that was the case, if they really wanted to make that happen, then you would have had Oscar De La Hoya. I felt like it was on Golden Boy Promotions and Oscar De La Hoya to put the money up to do that. And obviously they're not doing that, so they're okay with that. They like Ricardo Sandoval, but not to that degree where they're gonna have put their own money up and potentially risk losing money for a unification fight in LA. So to each their own. And that's not the only caveat to this whole situation, because the WBC has also ordered Ricardo Sandoval to fight Galal Yafai. Galal Yafai, he fought Francisco Rodriguez last year. He got his ass whooped, but Rodriguez tested positive for a banned substance. So the WBC is giving him a shot because they feel he was wrong, right? Which he was. Like, it's not his fault. He didn't control that this guy put something in the system, right? So they have about a month to negotiate. So Sandoval is in a position where if he wants to be involved in a big fight, he has to go ahead and get this done with Olascuaga and get this unification done soon. Because if not, if he waits a month, you're gonna have to fight Galal Yafai, or I don't know. The WBC, they make things up as they go. So if they like him, maybe they'll give him leeway. Who knows? But as far as Galal Yafai and Ricardo Sandoval, it's not really a fight I want to see. Galal's a good fighter, but Galal, I was never really as high on him as, let's say, Matchroom Boxing or some people that I know in the fight game. Like, he's a good fighter, gold medalist, comes from a boxing family. One of his brothers was a European champion. His other brother was a legitimate world champion. But it can wait. I think that fight can wait. Let Galal, maybe he can, maybe, and this is a true school advisory tip, free of charge. I'm gonna have to start charging you guys for this. If Eddie Hearn wants Galal to fight to make some money, why not just forget all this? Let Sandoval fight Olascuaga in Japan. You get Galal Yafai on the undercard, right? You get Mr. Honda and Tekken Promotions to pay him that good money that they pay these lighter weight category fighters in Japan, and then boom, you have a potential, way to market him in Japan. You can get some more fans if he fights and looks good, and it's a cool little fight. But for me, it can wait. I'm not too sold on Sandoval and Yafai, but respect to Galal Yafai. The last thing I wanted to address in regards to this entire this fight, this particular fight with Sandoval and Olascuaga, if we're just being honest, it's not the two best fighters at flyweight fighting each other. Olascuaga is rated number three by Ring Magazine. Ricardo Sandoval is rated number 1. Now, look, personally for me, I think it's up in the air, really, because Ricardo Sandoval has had a up and down career. He did lose to David Jimenez. He lost to somebody else, and I can't remember right now, right? And then he beat Kenshiro, which to me I thought was a dubious decision. I thought he lost, but they gave it to him. But he looked good. He did box well in the fight. I feel like Masamichi Yabuki might have a legitimate claim to number 1. He knocked out Kenshiro. Sandoval did not. He also knocked out 7-9 Chinga, who was a top guy, in and around this weight, to be champion again. And he became the first guy to knock out Felix Alvarado. He's one of the pound for pound hardest punches in boxing, right? He took the O of Angel Ayala, who was a tough Mexican. So for me personally, I think Yabuki right now is number 1. But I'm only saying that to say this is, I don't give a damn if Olascuaga and Sandoval fight each other. I don't really care who it is. One of them got to take the Yabuki test at some point. One of them do, because I have my doubts and I have my concerns about whether or not Yabuki will ever get a fight against either one of these guys, because you got Olascuaga, who is he's promoted by All Star Boxing, which is basically they work hand in hand with Mr. Honda Tekken Promotions. Yabuki is a 3150 Promotions fighter, which is Tomohei Kameda's company. And yes, guys, there is Japanese boxing politics, believe it or not. Mr. Honda controls the majority of boxing in Japan, but the little bit of boxing that he doesn't control in Japan, he don't really work with Kameda like that. The Kamedas are like outlaws of Japanese boxing, right? So my thing is, I know Yabuki's amazing. He's an amazing fighter. I think he's one of the most underrated fighters in boxing today. But will he get his chance to really cement himself as the guy in the division? And that's my question. And as far as Sandoval is with Golden Boy Promotions, but let's be real. Golden Boy Promotions, they're happy that Sandoval's champion, but that's like an add-on to what they have in their stable. Their focus is Virgil Ortiz. Their focus is Ryan Garcia. Their focus is them guys. Even Joshua Edwards, who's a prospect, that's their focus, right? Him being a unified champion is just like an add-on. That's how I view it for them. So they're going to go with whoever offers the most money. So I feel if you're talking about Masamichi Yabuki, for him to get his shot at becoming potentially the best super or best flyweight in the world, the lineal guy, if you will, I feel like he would have to fight. Ricardo Sandoval would have to beat Olascuaga. Because if Olascuaga wins, I'm telling you right now, Mr. Honda and Kameda, they don't do business. They don't. And if they did do business in this instance, I'd be shocked because, you know, for as good as Olascuaga is, he's a very good fighter. I like Anthony Olascuaga. He's not now in a way. He's not no superstar like that. And Yabuki is not a superstar either, not even in Japan. So it's not a big money fight to that degree. So I just couldn't see it, but he is there, and I'm just making it known that, you know, whoever does win that fight, if them two fight, Olascuaga and Sandoval, they gotta both take the Yabuki test because the common denominator that all three of these fighters have, Sandoval, Yabuki, Olascuaga, is that they all fought Kenshiro Taraji, right? Olascuaga lost to Kenshiro Taraji on short notice because he had to move down in weight, but he gave him a really good fight early in his career. Yabuki, he fought Kenshiro Taraji 2 times. He knocked him out the first time, and he only meant to knock out Kenshiro. And then he got knocked out in the rematch, right? And then Sandoval outboxed Kenshiro in a close fight. So they've all fought one of the top guys in and around this weight. They've all, you know, got common opponents. And there's cases that you can make for all of them to be the guy in the division, but we don't know until they fight each other. So all I'm saying is I don't care who wins that fight. I like Olascuaga and Sandoval. The winner need to go see Yabuki and take the test because that dude is punched like that for real. And he can actually box. Like he really does. He has like legitimate boxing skills. Like he actually has real finesse. He can actually, his boxing skills have matured later in his career. So yeah, that's my thoughts on that. But shout out to everybody here.